being the safe space does not mean that I have to be the always open door. And this is something that I have learned in the last, call it year and a half, but especially in the last several months, I think, as I have been working on my friendships, my relationships, actually outsiding, peopling, being the one to reach out, being the one to check in, being the one to say hi, hello, how are you? How is it going? How are your goals? What are your goals? Like actually asking real questions and building my friendships, building my relationships. I have come to realize that I can be the safe space for people without always being available. Like just because I am a safe space, just because I'm a really great listener, doesn't mean I always have to be available. And it also doesn't mean that I always have to be available for an extended period of time. Because even if I'm available, I can be available for a short time. It don't have to be for like a whole 2 hours. Um, Yeah. Being a good friend and being consistently available for an extended period of time are not the same. It's not the same thing. They're not intricately tied together. If I be one, I don't have to be the other one. And the reason why I think this is such a powerful lesson for me personally to learn is because it is the thing that has kept me from building relationships all this time. This is one of the core things that has kept me from peopling, from reaching out, from building friendships and relationships is the sort of implicit assumption I made that these two things were the same thing. And that I always had to be one if I was being the other. If I was being a good friend, I always had to be available. If I was being a good friend, I had to be available to listen for however long they needed me to be there. And I think being the listener and the safe space, being an introvert all my life has set me up for this because this is exactly what happened in primary school here in Jamaica, in college. Like, I mean, less so in college because by that point I had some mental health struggles, and so I was not even I wasn't listening to anybody. Quite frankly, I didn't have a lot of deep friendships at the time. But in primary school, in high school, this is who Chelsea was. Um, and I think that, yeah, I was always the one people was turning to with their problems. I was always the one solving problems or just being there to listen, being there to vent, being there to affirm and validate. Um, I mean, being there for people to vent at, right? Like just spit out everything that they're feeling, that they're going through, all the issues that they're having at home, all the problems. Yeah, my friends used to bring all kinds of ish to me about their parents, about other friends, about like family members. It was a whole thing. Um, and I was always the listener. I was always a safe space. And I think that after I went through all of my mental health stuff that I went through in college, and I got to my bigger life, adulting, whatever you want to call it, there was this sort of hesitation and reluctance and resistance to really building friendships within my immediate physical environment because I had the assumption that it meant that I was always having to have to be there for people. And I didn't feel like emotionally and capacity wise and bandwidth wise, I had it to do that. I still felt like in a lot of ways, even after all of those mental health issues, I didn't feel like I had fully recovered and owned my capacity. Um, so it felt like I had to protect myself. It felt like I had to protect myself, and um, so I stopped. I stopped really reaching out to people. I stopped. No, granted, it's not like I would reach out to people before. People would come to me, but I stopped really being available. So you would text me or call me, and you wouldn't get me. And the people who became safe for me were the ones that I knew either A, were not going to take up a ton of my time and energy, or B, they were already my closest people. And so it was okay for me to be there for them and show up for them. And occasionally there was a group C, which was usually people who I like somehow wanted to be friends with, be in a relationship with, whether that was a client relationship or just a friendship in general. And I would meet them, and it's either they're a client and I'm serving them, or something like there's always a second layer to this relationship. It's not just friendship alone, and then I ended up people pleasing. And so what used to happen, and I've talked about this concept before in previous videos, but I really want to dive into like what it felt like. What used to happen a lot for me is like the line items on my energetic invoice were just continually like expanding. So this idea, that the idea here is that like in life, on a day-to-day basis, we all have an invoice, right? And every single line item, the price is not in dollars, it's in energetic units, right? And so hopefully, I mean, you can start your day with zero, right? Like, but usually we start the day with something, right? Because we've slept, probably, maybe we feel okay. Even if it's like a 5 out of 10, like we're okay. We start the day with something already, like a balance at the top of the invoice that can be extracted from, right? That's a balance in our energetic account. And then each thing that we face in that day usually becomes a line item on, not usually, everything becomes a line item on that invoice. Now, those line items can subtract from the balance or add to the balance, right? And I think that I was so used to relationships and friendships being line items that subtracted from the balance. And I could never quite tell how big the price was going to be, how many energetic units were going to be subtracted. But because of people pleasing in the past, quite frankly, because of a lot of working through a lot of things around belonging, and feeling like I had people, feeling like I had community, and also wanting to feel connected to people, wanting to find my people, I assumed these two things were the same, right? Like assuming being a good friend meant being always available and always available for a very long time. And therefore, I would just let anything get added at any price. Like anybody could add anything to my energetic invoice. Any line item could get added and it didn't matter the cost. I would just assume it was going to be expensive and just add it, right? Not intentionally thinking that, oh, I get to decide what gets added in this moment. Your girl just added it and it was carte blanche. And so I would very often end my days with an invoice that was in the negative. And maybe I'd sleep and the balance would return to like a little bit over zero, depending on like everything else that was happening in my life and how much that was taking. But bottom line, I ended up in this situation where in my relationships it was just so easy for every single line item that was relational in any way to be extremely expensive, because I would add line items without discretion. Whatever came up, I would be available for it. And it wouldn't matter how much it was costing me. Like the price in terms of energetic units didn't matter. The line item just got added, period. I didn't set the price and I didn't determine whether or not it could even get added in the first place. And I think that what this really led to was, and I'm saying this particularly for the younger versions of myself, because I don't operate like this now. And when I say younger versions, I mean like, well, actually, it's not that long ago. So maybe I shouldn't make it seem like it's that long ago. Really, y'all, I've broken people pleasing habits and relationships in the past 2 years or so. Quite honestly, I've started to really employ and lean into boundaries and all of that stuff in the last couple of years. And I'll link videos here so I can share like how I came to that, and how much it really had cost me, costed me in the past to be stuck in those cycles. But what would happen is somebody would ask something of me, whether it was to listen, whether it was like, here actually how it would really happen a lot of times is I would get on with someone for like something related to business or with a specific purpose in mind, right? So like we'd get on a call with a specific thing that we were aiming to talk about. And then the tangents would begin. And we would start talking about the problems with the kids and the problems with the work and the problems with the other friends and who did this, from who didn't do this, from who did that, from who didn't do that. And I would let the conversation go on and on and on and on. And you look up, Chelsea's been on this call for 3 hours. And we are blessed and highly favored if we even got the opportunity to actually get through the main purpose of the call. And so that would be a line item on the energetic invoice for that day, right? And that line item would cost hundreds of energetic units or thousands, whichever way you want to think about it, because we didn't budget for it. We just showed up for it and we allowed it to continue on and on and on. And this would happen every day or every other day, continuously. And I'm just like, and I would feel the need in those moments, on those calls, I would feel the need for me to step away. Emotionally, I would feel myself come to or be coming to a limit, right? Like I'm hitting my bandwidth here. I'm hitting my walls. And I shouldn't be sitting here and continuing to listen and continuing to be this safe space because I actually don't have it to be the best version of this safe space for this person right now. I'm actually abandoning myself to be this safe space for them. And that's not healthy for either of us. So I'd feel myself hitting my limits and I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't say anything, y'all. And to be quite honest, I mean, earlier I said that this is like the past version of myself, but it still creeps in and shows up. 100% still creeps in and shows up because even the other day, and I talked about this on another video. Even the other day, I was talking with a friend. Actually, I'm doing a 75 friendship challenge. So for the next, well, I'm about to be, this is week 2 or week 3. I think I'm going into week 3 or week 4, one of them. No, week 3. Did I just end week 3? Y'all, I don't remember. In any case, what I'm saying is I have been on this mini challenge that I set myself to show up for my friendships, show up for my relationships. And the first week of the challenge, I had a conversation with one of my friends, and I hadn't spoken to her in a very long time, because life was happening for both of us, and we finally got back in touch, and we were talking and stuff. And she said something that really hit me hard, like it hurt me. It hurt me in that moment, and she kept talking, and she kept talking, and she kept talking, and in that moment, I felt myself tearing up, like I was about to cry. And I said to myself, Chelsea, you cannot cry on this call right now because if you let those tears out, she's gonna hear it in your voice. She's gonna want to know what's wrong, and you don't have it in you to explain anything. So suck it up, lock this down. You know that thing where, like, I'm sure this has been in, I can't remember like I've seen in an animated movie, but this feels very real. Like when you suck the tears back up into your eyes, just like suck it all up. Nothing can get out right now because I can't deal with the consequences of it coming out. I cannot handle it. And I silenced myself in that moment. That was full self-abandonment. But in that moment, I also recognized I didn't really have the bandwidth to process what I could have said. And because I hadn't encountered a situation like that in a while, I hadn't even thought about options for like what I could say that would like help me draw a boundary in that moment. Not a boundary to protect myself from being hurt, but a boundary to give me space to process my hurt and my pain and really see if there was any truth in what she was saying, because it's my really good friend. Like she's known me for a very long time, and even though we hadn't talked in a while, if she's saying something that she's noticing about what I'm saying, I want to take it meaningfully, right? Because she has known me for a while, she has the privilege of like speaking into my life. And I want to hear what she's saying and check that, okay, is there truth to this? I actually want to give it a moment to be heard. I'm not trying to run away from pain, y'all. I'm not trying to run away from my friends hurting me. I used to do that. I no longer do that because people are going to hurt people regardless. I think I've come to a place where I if I know that this is a healthy relationship, this is not malintentioned or nor like abusive or narcissistic or anything like that in any way, then the pain is unintentional and this was not what they meant. And therefore, how do I repair? Because connection is what I'm moving toward, because this person matters to me. Um, and so I am not afraid of the pain of being hurt. But in that moment, I didn't want to get into all of the ish around why I was hurt and how I felt, because I hadn't even processed it in the first place. And if y'all are introverted like me, if you're my flavor of introvert, you know that like we need some space. We needed some space to work through what's going on in our hearts and process it and like come to any kind of clarity, decision, etc. I needed space. And so a really good thing for me to have said in that moment was, hey, I hear you. I hear you. I'm actually gonna need some space to process this. So can you let me just sit with this for the next day or so? And I'll call you back and we can talk about it. Because I hear what you're saying and I want to sit with it. Um that would have been all I could have said. And that's a boundary. As simple as it might seem, that is a boundary, right? But instead of setting that boundary, because high key, y'all, I didn't even have the bandwidth to realize that I needed to set a boundary in that moment. And even if I did realize, I didn't know what to say. I couldn't come, like my emotions overwhelmed every single cognitive process that I had. And the default response was shut down, quiet, silence. Because literally there was nothing else I could do. Like I again, this is why I say the sort of people pleasing and the assumption of like I always have to be there and I have to be there for an extended period of time still shows up and creeps in, because this was what 2-3 weeks ago. And on this call I felt like I had to sit on the call. I didn't feel like I could leave, and I didn't have a script or a plan or anything for leaving. And so I sat on the call and she kept talking and talking and talking. And I got so quiet. You know how many times sis was like, "You there? Hello?" And worse, y'all, I got quiet, but then I also was trying to pretend like everything was okay. Not cool. Not cool. Not ideal at all. Full on self-abandonment, when all it would have taken was just for me to say, "Hey, I need some time to sit with what you're saying. Can you give me until like give me a couple days and I'll call you back." That's all that was needed. That's all that was needed. But instead, I allowed the line item on that energetic line item on the energetic invoice. I was just watching the number of units of that cost that was going to be subtracted from my balance for the day, because you best believe it was subtracted. And by the time that call was done, Chelsea was on negative, like climbing. And I watched that number just keep increasing, 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 increasing. And I was just like, there's nothing I can do about this. I disempowered myself in that moment, 100%. But I think what I learned from that is that I'm learning again. And really, it's not even learning again so much so as it is like allowing myself to be in different situations where I now get to figure out how I set boundaries in each of those situations. Because I've been running from friendships for so long, I haven't learned how to set boundaries. I don't know. So cognitively, I can walk away from that process it like brain wise, process it heart wise, and come to a script like this, right? Come to this is what I could have said. And then I can learn from it after the fact. But because I have not experienced this before, this is really my first time learning how to do this. And so in the moment, I realize I'm not likely to have scripts for any of this because I haven't done this before. I haven't done it before. So now that I know, I have this script for future reference. I have this script for future reference now. And I think like I've learned how to set boundaries in other areas and kind of rewrite this default assumption of to be a good friend, I always have to be available. To be a good friend, I have to be available for an extended period of time. I have to let every line item that gets presented to me, I have to put it on the energetic invoice and I have to just let it be however much it is. Like that's not how we work around here anymore. So even today, actually I was trying to connect with a friend last week, and she was moving and then she was helping her mom move and it was this whole thing, and so like life was lifing for her and I didn't get to talk to her, and we said we would talk the next day. But I knew that a lot was going on, so I didn't really push it. And I also had some stuff on my plate last week, so I didn't really push it. So she reached out to me today and she was like, "Hey, can we talk at some point today?" And I was like, I saw this message at around 9 in the morning. And I definitely wanted to talk to her. But when I thought about my day, I was like, okay, I am dead tired because I went to bed way too late last night. Um, and I'm at church right now. And when I go home, I need to sleep. And if I don't sleep, I'm not going to be able to show up for her because, again, I know life is lifing for her. So I know that I'm probably going to need to hold some space for her. And I'm okay with that. She's my friend. I care about her. I want to hold that space. But I need to have energy to hold that space. And right now, I don't have it. So I told her, hey, can we talk at like 5 to 6-ish? And immediately, y'all, within me, this thing came up of like, Chelsea, you need to talk to her right after church. 5 or 6 is too long. And keeping in mind, I replied at like maybe 10, 11. And I was like, 5 or 6 is too many hours for her to wait. Suppose it's something urgent. Suppose she really needs to talk to you. Suppose it's like she's really feeling down or emotionally like compromised or really needing a friend. She really needs somebody to talk to. And that's the thing about like us listener types, us safe space people, us introverts, like because we care so much about the people in our lives, we want to be there for them. And if you are so blessed to be one of the people in our lives that we want to connect with and care about, it's very easy for us to have carte blanche for you. And it's very easy for us to just want to show up for you, want to be there for you. But we can so easily fall into the trap of like doing that at the expense of ourselves. And that was the temptation that was presented to me today. Full on like opportunity for self-abandonment. Opportunity for, as simple as it is, y'all, opportunity for me to be like, well, yes, I need to sleep. I'm tired, but she needs me. So let me just call her right as I get home. And I felt that niggling thing, that voice in the back of my mind, the whole time up until I came home, up until right before I took my nap. The voice was still there telling me that I should call her, that I shouldn't wait until 5 or 6, that is too long. And so there's this default that I find myself having to rewrite now of like, sis, you can be available without being immediately available. You can show up for the people that you care about without it having to be a self-abandonment situation. You get to decide what line items get added to your energetic invoice and how much those line items can cost. Because in that moment, I could have also said to her, hey, can we talk at 5 or 6? Also, I can only talk for like an hour if that's okay with you. I can like, and it just has to be that simple, y'all. It don't have to be complicated. We don't have to make a big deal about boundaries. Oh my God, scary, scary, protect yourself. That's not what they are. They're literally just like, hey, I need this. Period. This is what I need to show up. That's all it is. It's literally just saying, okay, I see this need in my heart, and this is what I need to be able to show up in this moment. Let me give that to myself. And let me, therefore, allow myself to show up as the best version of myself for whatever needs are in the moment from other directions. Because I need this to meet the needs around me. This is a need that I have. And once I meet this need, I will be enabled to meet the needs around me. But if I don't meet this need and I try to meet the needs around me, this is when we end up in mental health problems. This is when we end up in deep resentment, in broken relationships, because we've been the listener and the safe space for too long, and we've abandoned ourselves for too long. Meanwhile, the other person have no idea that, like, them don't know. They didn't realize that we were out here abandoning ourselves for them, but we were. And so that voice was in the back of my head this whole time. And I said, no, Chelsea, you need to sleep. So best believe your girl came home, a voice still in the back of my mind, lie down in my bed, gone, nap. Woke up at 5 and be like, I'm hungry. I did say 5 or 6-ish. That's what I told her. It's after 5 right now, but I'm hungry and I need food. And it would be good for me to have food. And I can eat while I'm talking to her, if anything. So let me go get food. And I was talking to my family and like liming and taking it easy, no rush. Meanwhile, the voice is still in the back of my mind. Chelsea, you need to call her, you need to call her, you need to call her. Suppose it's serious, suppose it's urgent, you need to call her. If it was that urgent or that serious, I trust my friend to let me know what she needs, right? I don't have to assume, okay? I don't have to be the one to be like, I don't have to be over responsible for anybody. I don't have to over function in that way. Like, if it's a severe need in that moment, she will tell me. And she's told me before. And she is, and that particular friend is so understanding, and like, she is an advocate for me to take care of myself, just like how I'm an advocate for her to take care of herself. And so to me, that voice is so loud of like, you need to call her, you need to call her, you need to call her. And it's because I care about her. It's because I want to show up for her. But I care about myself too. And I want to show up for myself too. And it's very easy for me to default to self-abandonment, and we're not doing that anymore. We're writing a new script, we're writing a new default out here. And so, Chelsea, chill, relax, take my time prepping my salad, which was delicious, by the way. Kale, mango, black beans, ripe mangoes off the tree in my backyard. Yes, thank you. Um, That's all it was. 3 ingredients. Well, not 3, because I had added olive oil and salt to the kale and massaged that. But that was all it was. It was black beans, kale, and mango. It was so good, y'all. But yeah, take my time, prep my salad, relax myself, and then I call her. And I ate my food while I was talking to her. And I had at that point given myself what I needed to show up for her, and equipped myself. Like, my balance for that day, by taking my nap and by eating what I was eating, my balance on the energetic invoice for that day was actually added to. I added the line items that gave me the energy for that call, to hold space for her and be there for her and show up for her as my friend, but also as the best version of me in that moment, as the most resourced version of myself to meet her in whatever need she would have. And the really, I mean, it's a surprise because it doesn't always work this way. But the surprise blessing of that call was that actually, in that moment, she realized that what she needed was to go lie down. And so she didn't even stay on the call that long. And so I gave myself what I needed, so if we think about it this way, let's do this in dollars and cents because we're talking about an invoice here. So let's just say I added $1,000 to my balance for the day by taking a nap and eating my salad, right? And preparing my salad to have that while I was on the call. And I gave myself that $1,000 so that whatever happened on that call, $1,000 was about what I estimated would cover any withdrawal that she would make and any line item that would be subtractive to that invoice. But it's about $200 if we were going to call it that, if we're going to do it in money terms. Literally, the line item of that call on my energetic invoice was about $200. Y'all, surprise blessing, but I think it is a prime example of what can happen when you give yourself what you need, right? And that's how I'm trying to operate now. That's how I'm trying to be, even as I am on this 75 days of like my friendship challenge, showing up for people, leaning into my friendships, actually like letting people know that I'm here, which is the opposite of what I've done for years. Right? Like actually peopling, which is what I have not done for a very long time. Even as I do that, I think I also get to practice being present for myself and decoupling this idea that like being a good friend means I always have to be present and I have to be present for an indeterminate period of time for however long they need me. No. And my friends wouldn't want that for me either. That's the thing too. Like, my friends don't want that. That's not what my friends would want for me, but it's how I think I have to show up for them. And so yeah, it's rewriting all of that. And I get it. I understand how I got here because I think that in addition to being the listener and the empath, as millennial women, we are like, we carry a lot by default. Because just the age that we were born in, coming into social media, everything that we're exposed to, like, y'all, it's so easy for line items to just get added every second of the day. Like the amount of bombardment with just the news of current day events, right? Not even thinking about like family dynamics, friend dynamics, who is like having to even consider things like no contacts or like taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health, like starting a side hustle, getting your promotion. Like there's so much. And then if you have kids, y'all, I've been thinking about side notes. I've been thinking about this and I'm just like, my gosh, I have a dear cousin to me and he's staying with my family and for a little while, like just a few days. And the way how I am just all of a sudden so cognizant of what he's paying attention to, what he's working on, what he's doing, what he's learning, what he's eating, what he's drinking, what his snacks are. Is he getting enough exercise? Is he getting enough sleep? What time is he going to bed? Is he learning everything that he needs to learn in terms of just like things like hygiene or cleaning up after himself, cleaning up his area? Like, bruh. Being a parent is so much. I'm just like, this is a lot. This is a lot. And it's not even my child. My hat's off to all of you because if you have a child, bruh, this is a trip. We are carrying so much as women, as millennials growing up in the time that we have grown up in and adulting in this era, as people alive right now and everything, knowing everything we know about mental health, around physical health, around the way the world works, and what we are regularly and more consistently exposed to: AI, wars, government corruption, environmental degradation, and trying to keep ourselves alive and fed and paying our bills. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. So the energetic invoice can get the line items just pile up. And the energetic units in terms of cost, the energetic units just pile up. And so, of course, we're carrying a lot. And so I look at all of this and I understand why I ran in the other direction. Because being the listener and the safe space on top of all of that, if you are not prioritizing taking care of yourself and prioritizing resourcing yourself in the middle of all of that, you drown. You lost a C. That's it. You're done. It's a lot of emotional labor. It's chronic. It's chronic emotional labor for us to be alive right now. As millennials, as women, as people of color, as people growing, like adulting in this time, having jobs, building businesses, starting families, trying to stay alive and have a meaningful life. It's a lot. And so when we when it's a very kind of tricky dynamic because we crave connection, because we like the loneliness epidemic is a thing, right? People want connection, and at the same time we also know that being connected taxes us. And so it's like, how do I navigate that? How do I make that work? Boundaries. Boundaries are the answer, y'all. Resourcing yourself, prioritizing resourcing yourself. um as the listener, as the safe space, as the empath, carrying all of this ish is what allows us to stay connected. And that, to me, what I'm coming to realize in my life is that's where the richness of life is. Yes, money, finances, investments, financial freedom, retiring early, being work optional, all of those things are so important. But the richness of my life is in the people that I am connected to. And the deeper I can nurture those connections from a place of being resourced myself, from a place of taking care of myself, from a place of not abandoning myself, from a place of deciding what gets to go on my energetic invoice and how much am I capping each line item at. When I make those decisions, that's how I resource myself. And in resourcing myself, I free myself to connect deeply with the people who matter to me, because now I don't have to run the opposite direction. Now I can just say a simple, hey, I'll call you at 5 or 6. And I learned to rewrite the default of that voice in the back of my mind saying I have to call them now. I learned to ignore it. And I hope eventually it goes away. If y'all are further along on the journey than me, please tell me. Like, does it go away? Yes or no? I hope it eventually quiets down. Um, but I get to resource myself first. I get to decide what line items go on my energetic invoice. I get to make boundaries, and boundaries are simple. They don't have to be complicated, they don't have to be fraught, and they definitely don't mean disconnection or pushing people away. It just allows space for me to resource me, to give myself what I need, to not abandon myself. And they can be really simple, and I'm learning how to do them. I'm learning how to do them well. And the better I learn to do them well, is the deeper my connections and my relationships can become. And it's the more, I think, wealthy I am in terms of my relationships and in terms of my life and the community I build around myself. And I think that that makes me very proud of me. That fills me up. Um, and that makes me really anticipatory. Like, I look forward to what the next year of this kind of commitment will bring. Even the next couple of months, as I work through these 75 days of this challenge that I'm on, I'm looking forward to how much wealthier I will feel in terms of the connections and the community and the people that I've nurtured in my life as a result of and coming out of nurturing myself and decoupling these two things of like being a good friend and being a safe space and being a listener versus being and always available for a very long time. However long you need me, I'm there for. And always assuming that like anything gets to get added to my energetic invoice and it gets to cost however much it needs to cost. We don't do that around here anymore. And I'm really grateful to see that. And I'm really grateful for the journey I'm on. And yeah, that's where we're at right now, y'all. That's where we're at. So I am curious for you all. Are boundaries something that is a thing for you? Um, Thing meaning a tricky thing, or thing meaning something that you're learning, or thing meaning something that you have learned and it's changed your life? Did you maybe or do you maybe have this assumption of being a good friend, meaning that I always have to be available and I have to be available all the time for however long you need me? Um, and how is this like idea of the energetic invoice landing for you and the line items on the energetic invoice? Um, and what actually, another question, examples of simple boundaries that you have set that have not been emotionally fraught and overwhelming, right? Just like really simple. If you can drop word for word what you said in the comments, then I think that would be really cool because we could make almost like a bank of scripts for like, oh, these are examples of things that you can say to set boundaries, and we can learn from one another. And then um I don't always have to we don't always have to learn by doing and learn by mistake, but learn because we have examples from other people. All right, y'all. So drop your ideas in the chats, in the comments below. I will read them, I will respond to them. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care.